let's begin. That's a great time for that. Our first public comment, Chris Fulbright.
Good evening, I'm Chris Fulbright, 312 Capitol Avenue. I'm here to speak on behalf of Springfield Middle School. We have a bunch of cool things happening over there. The first one is our culture fair, which is going on Thursday this week. It is our third annual culture fair. We are super excited about that. You should have gotten an email from me inviting you all to come to that. It's from 4 to 5:30. The second piece is I have been working diligently with the Kingman Museum to get their characterful creatures, exploring animals and stories into our building. We are the first school in Battle Creek, or in this area, to bring this exhibit into our building. It goes up on Wednesday. There will be 9 creatures altogether that come into our school and will fill our beautiful display cases down our hallway. It is just going to be super excited. It helps bring in literature, writing, and storytelling into our buildings. The last one is that we are super excited at Springfield Middle School to present a first ever musical for Springfield Middle School in a very long time. The students have petitioned for us to start a theater class. Unfortunately, it is too late in the year for that. So we are deciding that we are going to do a theater club after school, and we are going to have our first ever musical. The students are super excited. Other classes are super excited about it. It is a school community event. We have classes doing projects for sponsorships. We have some kids that are sending out sponsorship letters to get donations and everything. We have our arts program is going to be doing our backdrops for us. After school, 21st Century is going to be building set pieces for us. So it is a full school community. Once we get more information about that, when that goes, it's going to be in April. We would hope to see everybody there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Thank you. Moving on to discussion. Student showcase. Dr. Carter.
Thank you. In Battle Creek Public Schools, we always say great things are happening in Battle Creek Public Schools. That's one of the sayings that we embody on a regular basis. But our greatness is actually shown best through our students. And tonight, we are so pleased to congratulate and celebrate some of our amazing students in the areas of art and music. And so for our music showcase, I want to invite Mr. Herring to the podium for us. And we're going to start with, you are honoring Post Franklin?
Yes, and Fremont.
And the Fremont International Academy. So we're going to let you take it away with what you'd like to say, and then I will follow you.
All right. Oh, there's no microphone? I just don't want to do that big drop thing at the end. All right. I remember the last time I was here, somebody dropped it by accident. I'm like, you stole my move. All right. So I've got 4 students, 2 at each school, and these guys are amazing. Which am I supposed to face, you or them?
You can face them. We hear you.
All right. Okay. Anyways, these students are always listening, they're always involved, they're singing, they're involved with creative writing, music stuff, and we got all kinds of cool stuff going on. And if you need help from anybody, you're like, hey, need a hand. They're just right there. And they do a great job. Just so pleasant to be around too, to be honest with you. So I wish all kids were, I wish we could make molds of these 4 students, right? And just, but it's just been a thrill to be able to teach these kids. I absolutely love my job. And I don't just say that, I actually mean it. I love my job, and I'm so glad parents are here to support and everything. And yeah, so I don't want to take up all the time. So I'm gonna call your name, come on up. All right, Ulrich, come on up and get yours. So you get a chance to see it. Yeah, you might want to come around. And everybody's is the same except for the name on the plaque. I'm going to pull that, please. And let me display the kind of cool stuff parents got. You got a microphone you can drop later. Pow, right? Squishy ball you can throw around. They all got one of these, you know, these fidget things are really big. So I got one, of course, that's got to be some noise. So, yeah. Oh, I tested all the pens. They all work. And they all got a whiteboard. So you can leave that in class and you can take plenty of notes. And this is my favorite. Yeah. So for all you parents out there, thank you for sending your kids that make all kinds of noises. So I just thought to pay you back, you know, say thank you, I mean. Thank you. All right, we'll give it a shot. You know you do. Go ahead. Oh, I bet you tomorrow kids are going to have those in class. You're like, all right, here, put that in there. Okay, you can take that. Here, we got that. All right, let's get everybody else up here too.
Well, before
Jeffrey.
we do that, let's get a picture with Ulrich.
Come on up here, my man.
Hold on. We're going to stand over here.
That's all right.
And we have an award for you also, a medal, and a certificate from the superintendent, all right?
Come closer too.
There you go. Ulrich, can you look at the camera? Thank you. Congratulations. We are so very proud of you.
Congratulations. All right, come on over here.
Go get your picture. And Jeffrey, congratulations on your outstanding achievement. We have a gift for you as well, and a letter from me just really recognizing your outstanding accomplishment. Congratulations.
Wait.
Okay.
Roger sign, say cheese.
All right, and then here you go, Jeffrey. There's that. Delilah.
I love.
We traded. We have an award here for you that you can keep, recognizing your achievement in music. We are very proud of you. And a letter from the superintendent that you can keep. And again, we say congratulations. Thank you for all that you do. Want to turn your certificate around like that to help you? There you go.
Get used to this. There'll be Oscars in the future, all kinds of stuff.
Get used to it.
There you go.
Got that? All right.
Congratulations.
Malik, my man.
Congratulations, Malik. We are very proud of you and all that you have continued to do. Here's a letter from the superintendent, and we hope that you continue to study music for years to come. I expect to see you in that marching band at Battle Creek Central.
Oh, definitely I will.
Okay! Congratulations.
That's awesome.
All right, band members in
Awesome.
the making.
Malik, go, bud.
Next up, we have Lamora Park.
I'll be back.
Hello. My name is Sarah Cox, Miss Cox, the kiddos. I wanted to thank you guys for giving us this time to recognize our students. It's so exciting, and for supporting our music program. I'm so excited with all the new stuff going on. Music has always been really important in my life, and so I'm so glad I get to share it with all of the students that I have. These students that I have brought up, or that will come up, they have embodied our ROAR standards, our OAR that we've been working on this whole year. They're resilient, they make mistakes, but then they come back from them, they learn from them instead of getting upset. They're optimistic, they always come into my classroom ready to learn and doing their best and focusing up. They're an advocate, they help other students kindly when they're just get back on track. They're always there for a reminder of like, hey, we're doing something awesome right now. Let's make sure we're doing it. And I appreciate that. And yeah, and they're reliable. They're always focused up. I can always count on them to raise their hand and participate in my classroom. So I would like to introduce my outstanding students. I have Ariel. And I have, let's give him a clap. Ariel, and I have Grace. And while I did not get as fancy as Mr. Herrick, and next time I will know what to do.
Not be outdone.
Some certificates and some little trophies, little Quaver trophies. Quaver, if you remember, is something we've used in our classroom before. For you guys, would you like to come up, please, and I'll give them to you.
Congratulations. This one is for Ariel. There you go. And,
Here's a medal for you.
Wow, look at all you guys.
all right, and we're going to take our pictures together. We'll put you there.
Medal
And,
for you.
and
Like I got so much stuff to hold on to.
And she said, I'm tired. And there's her medal. We get it. Happy Monday, right?
Smiles.
Congratulations. Thank you for all you do.
We're gonna get some pictures outside, okay? Let's get some pictures.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell.
Thank you to all of our families and our students for coming out. We truly appreciate you and all the support that you give.
All right, moving on to B, MASB Board of Directors voting.
We're gonna try to get some.
So this is a discussion. We're not actually going to be voting on these people tonight. But you probably have got an email from, I think, Elizabeth Odell. I think she sent an email to all of us requesting our support of her. I have not got anything from Tiana from Kalamazoo. I don't know if anyone else has or not. But Tiana Harrison is from Kalamazoo Public Schools.
I'm going to try.
Is from
I'm going to
St.
try
Joseph
to avoid him taking it.
County, and both of them are up for nomination to fill the vacancy for a Region 6 seat for MASB Board of Directors for a one-year term. So this is just a discussion to get a feel of who we want to vote for at our next meeting. Yeah. Any thoughts on the email you got from Elizabeth Odell? Or thoughts on Tiana?
I mean, I was impressed by her email and her taking the initiative. It would be interesting to see Tiana's side by side so we can hear. I don't feel comfortable making a decision without that information.
Right. And I don't know if she's going to, I mean, the voting ends in March, like the first week of March, so we would have to vote at our next meeting. I don't know if it would be appropriate for me to ask for her information or if she should just send it. I know in the past they've always just sent it if they're trying to get on the board. If she doesn't send it, I mean, we still ultimately have to vote one way or the other at our next meeting. I was also impressed by Elizabeth Odell's email, but I have nothing to compare it to. I mean, I can't compare it to Tiana's because I don't know. So I guess just we have 2 weeks, and maybe in 2 weeks we'll get an email from Tiana, and we'll go from there. But in 2 weeks, if we don't, we still would have to vote one way or the other. So, yeah, any questions?
Are we going to be discussing this at the county board meeting next Monday?
We are not. That's not on the agenda. It's specifically for the guest speaker.
Got it.
Yeah. So, no.
You didn't come across either of these folks in your.
I have actually Saturday when I took the Winter Institute. Elizabeth Odell was on one of my classes, so I am familiar with her. And Tiana, I'm familiar with just because Kalamazoo is our neighbor, and I've seen her at MESB courses in the past. I like them both, so I mean,
It's always hard.
I think it'd be easier to make a decision if we had Tiana's resume or her accomplishments or whatever that she wants to provide to us. But I know for me, as of today, if I had to vote today, I would probably vote Elizabeth because I have all of her information and I don't know anything about Tiana. But we have 2 weeks, so hopefully something will happen then. Awesome. Okay. Moving on to letter C, board development. Okay, so a few things on this topic. First off, I know with talking with Vice President Perry, I think the last year we really lacked in our own outside of the board retreats and development for us as a board. So we definitely want to get back on track to that. I know Trustee Nordman thought about an escape room, so I was trying to break things down for us to talk. Of course, this is open discussion of inside the boardroom ideas, so for like training opportunities or board development, outside boardroom activities like escape rooms or other ideas we may have, and then frequency. I think those are like the 3 topics I want to discuss. I know Trustee McClenny, he's not here tonight, but he brought up the Open Meetings Act. I mean, it could be through MASB, it could be through our own personal attorneys, Troon. I also am a fan of the DISC assessment because we have 2 new board members and we all don't know each other as a group of 8. And also the DISC assessment normally includes the cabinet because we have to work with them as well. So that's another idea for inside the boardroom training. So let's just talk about it. What are you guys' thoughts on? I guess we'll start with inside the boardroom trainings. So we have the Open Meetings Act because of course that changes all the time. We have the DISC assessment. Are there any other ideas for board growth or educational trainings that you can think of or that you would want to see us do?
Did we refresh on parliamentary procedure? Maybe ours last, it was, I can't remember if it was a year around, I think it was maybe before that.
It's been a couple of
It hasn't been while I've been on.
I know definitely when you guys weren't, but was it, did you have that Jurassic?
I did. I think when I first got
When you
on.
first got on, okay.
Yeah.
So, there's 2 of us I think are left that had that, so I'll be good to do it.
Absolutely.
Curious about sorry.
Any other ideas?
I'm trying to go back to my notes because I thought we had laid out some of the things that we were going to cover. One of them was like the first session was related to learning like the district. So we reported the report part, we did that one, and then we didn't do anything after that. And I don't see in my notes where I tracked what we were supposed to do, but I thought we had outlined ideas of what we wanted to cover then.
I don't.
Like a calendar of.
There was a couple topics that I thought we had talked about. We did the one about understand, but it was facilitated. We didn't have a facilitator because it was just in district. But I don't remember what the other topics were, and I was gonna resurrect that because we had thought it was important whenever we talked about it. So I don't see it in my notes, so I'll have to go back and find it. And I don't even remember like what time we really talked about that to go back through the agenda, the meeting minutes to figure it out, so.
What about outside the boardroom? I know Trustee Norman, you suggested an escape room.
Yeah, just so we can work together, work on teamwork and listening and the soft skills, I guess, for energy.
Yeah. I'm actually excited about that idea. I've never done an escape room, so it always has intrigued me. But yeah, any other?
It's a really fun idea. How does that type of thing work with the meetings? Because I mean, we're in a locked room together.
Don't talk about it.
Trust me, we'll be working on the mission itself.
Right.
Super hard to get out.
No, and I get that, but I guess I just want to make sure that I've been told like even 3 of us or see each other public, you know, 4 of us, we shouldn't be talking together really because it's like
We can go to things like we have our dinner. right?
That's true, okay.
So you can have celebrations as long as you don't bring up board. But I think what you just highlighted is maybe we should have the Open Meetings Act one first. So that we're all in Detroit. I feel like given, Coeta was on the new one, there have been some significant changes. And so that just seems to be a critical one that we could all, even cabinet, could learn about to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Yeah, that's a
So,
great person to have.
and then determine what does it look like to, I would call them team building events, right? And how to plan those out.
Another one that's, I guess, in the district would be something at the OEC, the
Oh,
wall.
yes.
Work for that? I don't know.
I think that's great because
That's a stretch for me
that's-
because I'm very afraid of that, but I'm trying to think of things in around resources, you know?
Yeah. Or maybe an escape room at the OEC in a cabin in the woods. I don't know.
What's happening?
I don't know. I'm just talking.
Otherwise, like, what? Love our
Blair
group.
Witch Project. I'm like,
Right.
80s horror movie.
Right. I'm like, wait a minute. We're the first to die in those types of
No thanks. So what I have found is that because there are 7 board members plus, that it's really difficult to schedule anything with this group. And so might we consider the team building event being somewhere in June when we kind of have, or we plan it out? Although I see a side eye like, I'm out of here. So,
June is tough.
yeah,
Summer months,
we
but if we
have
do it
to
in
think
advance, I can
about,
work around
or maybe in August, like when we're all coming back together, something like that, just to give us time to plan it. But sounds like everybody's on board, and let's set Open Meetings Act maybe within the next couple months, and then focus on a team building to come back in August.
Yeah,
Like a plan?
I think that's great.
All right. We will
I
work
do
on-
also want to bring up frequency because I know, like last year, we were gung ho about this and we did one thing and then we let it go. So I kind of want to talk about biannually, quarterly. Like, what are your initial thoughts? Nothing is finalized, but I definitely don't want to make this like last time and just after the first one it drops off.
So where does it align with, so we haven't scheduled, so we did some like strategic, I don't know if they were called strategic planning meetings. They weren't strategic planning meetings, but they were like, well, we were just, do you know what I'm talking about? It was on the weekend.
Oh yeah, where we got like Shalotsky's brought in and we sat at the table.
Yeah, so
and-
whatever that is called.
call it
But
a
we were, what'd you say?
a board retreat.
Board retreat, yeah. But so I guess I'm also curious about that and where that would find in line with that. So we were gonna schedule another one. We haven't scheduled a follow-up for that. So I'm wondering if we should talk about that too, and then maybe we can talk about the frequency, unless that is considered.
I think that's what I was considering this is.
Okay.
So phase 1 was what I do recall is that everybody just really wanted to know the workings of the district. And we had a really deep dive into understanding who's doing what and what's the direction. Then the next iteration was what's the next retreat? To Nicole's point, do we have a list? What was the next retreat? Because that's not here, we're kind of redefining that. So the next retreat is to learn about Open Meetings Act together.
Okay.
I would recommend that we use our attorneys for Open Meetings Act, because we already pay them anyway. But anyway, they might charge.
What about MASB? I thought,
But then there's MASB. So it's dependent upon which one do you want to go with. So we can ask Troon to do the retreat or MASB to do the retreat, and that's on.
I mean, I personally have no preference, but I may be a little biased towards MASB just because I'm a board member. So I don't really, whatever you guys all want, I'm fine with.
I prefer.
Sorry?
Trustee McClenny said if we talked about this, he wanted Trump to do it. Because there are lawyers, and if something was to come up, they would be the one to handle it for us.
I mean, that makes sense.
They're the board's attorney, and so that was his
That was his recommendation.
But again, It's up to this board because you just need to give us direction on who to schedule. And we'll move forward with scheduling that and then trying to figure out schedules.
My gut is true. So. Doing this well. This long.
Whoever's more informed. I mean, who knows it better? I mean, is there something that say that
Who's cheaper?
but can Troon be
They're not
there?
giving us advice, so that's why I was leaning towards Masby. Because Brad literally has to answer questions on this all the time. So I don't know Troon's experience with it. I would imagine they know something about open feedback, but I feel like Brad is probably from my interactions, the better source of truth. So I would lean towards him. Is he the one that does it? Well, I'm assuming that. Okay.
So let me give space, if you don't mind, to give some space to Kawita. Just finished the Troon webinar. It was a whole webinar on, and why did they do the webinar?
Because there were changes and they said they were getting a lot of questions, so they did the webinar. So there were 3 different attorneys that were on. One that did most of the presentation, one that facilitated, and one that was in the chat answering questions as it went along.
Was it recorded? Yes. You can share that out. But maybe we can get best of both worlds.
And there was a
share one.
PowerPoint that I have as well.
So maybe get the Troon PowerPoint out, that would give us a understanding, and then have MASB come in and do the training. You got it.
I like it.
Another training that we had talked about, well, I had suggested was, I thought would be a beneficial one for the full board, even though we've done it like 3 or 4 times, the superintendent evaluation, just for the benefit of our newer members. I think there's some that are better to take with your board versus with a generic CEA course. So I know that's due in June. That's a more time-sensitive one, but that might be, if you all find that beneficial, something that's helpful to give you context.
They have to. So have you signed up for, by law, you have to have superintendent evaluation training. I think that's offered by MASB. Have you gotten anything on that yet?
I have not.
Okay.
Ryan took it.
Ryan already took
Scheduled
it.
yours
Oh,
yet.
you already took his?
I haven't scheduled yours yet, but Ryan took it already.
Do you want something in addition to that?
No, it could be a, maybe a mentor discussion.
Okay.
If Ryan already took his. 'Cause like I said, we've already done it like 3 times. 3 years. Sounds good.
Yeah. So we'll make sure that Jamisha gets connected.
Perfect. Any other thoughts on retreats or board development?
I was gonna suggest quarterly, just alternating development with team building. For that.
Okay, moving on to D, board support for addressing chronic absenteeism. Dr. Carter.
Yes, thank you. So I appreciate the willingness for the board to really talk into. So tonight, we're gonna really dig into chronic absenteeism. I am tag teaming this with the wonderful, magnificent Dr. Monique Cheeks, whose student services department really oversees chronic absenteeism and our district strategy around this. So we wanted to, the way in which I thought we might structure this conversation is to really think about what is the data telling us. And so Dr. Cheeks is going to show us what's our current reality. Let's talk about what are we already trying, what's already in place, and then thinking about the board's role and how they might help us move this needle, because it has been a really difficult needle to move. And so when we're thinking about this, how through maybe policy or goal setting, funding, or even advocacy, the board might help move this big rock, because it is a boulder for Battle Creek Public Schools. So with that, I'm going to ask Dr. Cheeks to come on up.
So the definition of chronic absenteeism is if a student is missing 10% or more of the number of days that we've been in school session. So if we've been in school 100 days, then 10 days would be, and if they've missed 10 or more days, they're chronically absent. By the end of the school year, any student missing 18 or more days is a chronically absent student. So what you'll see here is a breakdown of the percentages you see in the green area will be our tier 1 students. Those are students with 0 to 4 absences, under 5 absences. And then your yellow students would be, the students in the yellow area are 5 to 9. And the orange is what we would call our at-risk population, which means that they're close to getting to that chronic absenteeism number, and they're 10 to 14 days, and students with 15 plus are considered your severely chronically absent student. And within our district right now, we have 32.4 students already who are considered to be chronically absent, and we have 14.5 of our student population that's at risk. If we continue down the path that we are now, that they could also be in that chronically absent category.
So this is like to date. These are the categories they're in.
This is as of last Thursday. Oh, okay. This would be last Thursday, so yes, pretty much to date. So Friday, sorry. No, it would have been Wednesday because we didn't have school on Thursday, right? So it was for Thursday, but it would have been your Wednesday and before data. And then the percentages, this is them broken down in numbers. So the majority of our school district, 1,206 students, are in that tier 1 category, but we have 1,166 of our students who are chronically absent at this point in the school year, and 523 of them who are in that at-risk category. So some of the district initiatives that we're doing already, we have an attendance team in every single school building. And for the most part, they're all operating with fidelity, and that simply means that they're meeting regularly, usually at least once a week. That means that they are case loading, case managing students. They're making contacts with families. They're sending out attendance letters at 5, 10, and 15 days. They are creating a system of reporting to the truancy level with the Calhoun Intermediate School District. They're doing mentoring and incentivizing. So our mentoring for the most part comes from our community partners, like YPIC, who was here not too long ago, and some of our other partners that are in the buildings like communities and schools. And then the incentives are based from the attendance team, the principals, communities and schools. Make sure that they incentivize students who are progressively attending, not just perfect, but progressively as well, so that we don't miss any students who are doing better than they had been. Attendance contracts. So what that means is once you get to a certain level, the school attendance team meets with parents and they go through an attendance contract. Here are some of the patterns that we're seeing. Here are some things, some resources that can intervene on whatever the barriers may be to your attendance at this point. And so that's what an attendance contract looks like. And then communities and schools support, so they have students that they case manage, that they case load, so they specifically are looking at that at-risk category for the most part, so that they can stop them from moving on to the severely chronically absent. And then parent outreach, that's an everyday process. That is a call, a robocall, that is a direct call from a teacher, an attendance team member, that's a letter, that is a contact from Rebecca Bolden at the district level, that is a home visit. Those are some intentional contacts with parents. And we also have school nurses and our healthcare partnerships. So our school nurses sit on many of our attendance teams because what comes up a lot of times are parents are not wanting to send students to school because they may have asthma or some other chronic health issues. And so the school nurse being on that team helps to kind of intervene with the parent and help them to understand what's available at school, how you can kind of interrupt those patterns if you have a medical issue at home. Transportation support, so if we do not have students who are eligible for school bus transportation, then we offer bus passes and other things like that that students can take advantage of and their families can take advantage of. And then we have interventionists within the school building and on the attendance team who are intervening on the chronic absenteeism. And then again, our partnerships with the county truancy team. So we specifically have 2 truancy officers that work with our district. And so the ideal of that is not to get students to the point of court, but it is to interrupt some of those patterns of chronic absenteeism. Any questions with any of those? So we did want to recognize our schools with the most notable improvements between last year and this year, and that was Anjay and Verona. Those are our 2 3 to 5 buildings, and they were in some critical areas in the previous years, but this year Anjay has actually the lowest chronic absenteeism rate in the school district, and Verona is really working their way backwards from where they started at the end of last school year. And some things to note about those 2 buildings is they have community partners. They have community partners inside of their buildings who work with students, who caseload students in addition to what we're already doing in the school building. DHS is established at Anjay. We have communities and schools at Verona, and both buildings have YPIC, who's supporting and addressing chronic absenteeism. Schools with barriers that need addressing are our lower elementaries. So our K through 2 schools, all the way even down to GSRP, they're struggling with chronic absenteeism, and our high school, mainly because of truancy, are struggling with chronic absenteeism as well. And then our Springfield Middle School, those are the schools with the barriers that we're right now listening to what the data is telling us, and we are trying to impact those particular buildings at this point.
So are you seeing any trends with those schools, like for high schools, at a certain period where you're seeing absenteeism higher, or?
So for the most part, trends are anytime we have a partial day. So if we have not necessarily our early release Wednesday, but our half days, we're still trying to impact making sure the kids are coming to school on those half days. Fridays are usually a day that we see high chronic absenteeism rates. But at our high school level, it's not really that we're not getting kids into the building. It is kids staying consistently throughout the school day that starts to, so at the high school level, it's more of how do we address the students' needs while they're in the building with us so that we can keep them in the seats. Now at your lower elementaries, those are things we have to interrupt those barriers at home because they are brought to school by families. So those are some different levels that we have to kind of look at to break down those barriers.
In high school, are you seeing the kids coming in and leaving, or coming in late?
There's high tardy rates, and there's also students who are not staying in each class. So I might go to first hour, but I might not go to second and third hour. And once I miss so many periods, then I start to get absences for a whole day, as opposed to these periods start to rack up. And now I'm chronically absent for missing second hour 5 days a week.
I will share some anecdotal, like standing at the high school and asking kids, why are you coming in late? It will be, my parent got off work late, I didn't have a ride to school, or they didn't get me up. It's just, it's not one reason that I've been able to find, especially at the high school level. So where I'm working, there's working. Some of our kids are trying to work. I've had to take care of a sibling, or that my parent was sick and I'm the caregiver for my parent. So I guess I say all that to say we haven't been able to find one barrier to mitigate.
So and then our older students who are taking care of siblings, our elementary start later. So if I've got to get everybody up and going, I've got 2 or 3 drop-offs to get younger siblings too, and then by the time I get here, I've already missed 2-3 hours, my first 3 hours of school. So it's not all intentionally, I'm just missing because I don't want to be here, but there are some barriers. But there's not a single barrier, which has been our issue. When it was transportation, it was, well, let's put all of our resources into transportation, but we don't have one barrier to really lock in and be able to zone in on. So
how can the board support or amplify community partnerships that address the barriers to attendance? And what advocacy efforts could we engage in to address the systemic challenges? Those were some questions that we have for reflection and then just open it up for discussion.
So, when I think about, because you're right, there isn't one root cause, but I'm thinking about the importance probably for a strategy to address the different ones, because we have a lot of support resources that address barriers. And some of the other factors are like motivation, accountability, purpose. So I'm wondering if we thought about creating a strategy that says, let's look at the students that this is about motivation, and let's take the students where this is about accountability, and the ones that this is about purpose and, you know, barriers, and then thought about strategies to address each one of them by that, instead of, we got a lot of stuff, right? I'm wondering if it would be helpful to maybe try to look at it that way, and then think of how we can go to our community partners and say, hey, we got this for barriers. These are all that we have. Where we need support are programs around value systems and whatever. And then, you know, there's something else that we need to create to help students and families understand the value and importance and the purpose of going to school. So I'm just wondering if we've thought about, like, looking at it more strategically.
I would say absolutely. I mean, that's where that one initiative around contracts comes up. That's down to the individual student to say, what is it that you need support with, and then contracting with them through the attendance teams. So we've done that work, and I'll give you another example. DHHS being in the schools really works on what's happening in the family and individualizing that down to, so we're at the point of, I think what we were having a conversation about is just how do we message the importance of being in school and making decisions around what's important to miss for and what's not important to miss for. I think that's what we're struggling with. We meet monthly with Bearcat Health, and we have all those organizations sitting on Bearcat Health. We've tried a attendance subcommittee with them looking at individual cases to wrap supports around kids. So I think at this point we're at, how do we, it's really around the systemic challenges of the community at this point. What else can we do?
So I would say those are all, I'm imagining you guys did all of the work for the studies and the individualized things. But what we can actually control, probably with some negotiation, is the days of school. So how our school schedule is set up and when school starts. And what I mean by that is, do we look at spreading out the school year-round school construct? Or do we look at, I just called you Monique. This is a work session, so I call you Monique.
Yeah.
So Monique was mentioning, like, you've got high school students taking care of younger siblings. So should we be looking at, would it help to flip the order in which our kids are dropped off? Should we look at the length of drop off? It's an hour and a half. If you go from your high school all the way up to your lower elementary, that could be burdensome. So have we dug into what we can control, which is our school day, when it starts and ends, and then the length of our school year, or how our school year is spread out? Because we're trying to make all of these things work within this set structure. But we should be looking at, is the structure the problem? Can we blow that up and, but can we change that and look at how we can make that more effective?
So I want to make sure I hear what you're saying is, it would be the board's recommendation that we explore alternative school times and explore school year opportunities, and maybe come back with a report of how that might address this situation, if at all possible. Is that something that a committee could begin to look into? So the board, so we then are being asked to come back with some thoughts about what would it look like if we adjust the school day and or the school year, and what have we learned from that? We can do that.
I know when I taught at Inkster for 4 years, we partnered with Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, and this is going to be controversial, but we would, I guess, subtract from their food stamps if their kids were chronically absent, and then that would impel them or compel them to come to school. And then if they met their attendance goal, we would give them like a cash grant that would appear on their bridge card. So it was like the carrot and the stick. So they got penalized if their kids were chronically absent, and it was per the kid. So if you got 5 kids, and it's just that one that's chronically absent, your case is deducted by that, and then they got a cash grant that appeared on their UT card if their kid met the attendance goal. And we partner with the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office and DHS, and it was successful.
I was also wondering about, and you may already have this, but if we have the contracts with individual people, is there a way to get numbers on, out of the 1,000, whatever number it was, 500 are for this reason, 200 are for this reason, 100 is for this, have those numbers? So I know we have the full number of after 15 days, but can we have the numbers of the reasons? So I know there's like 10 different reasons, I'm just throwing a number out there, of why this is happening, but have that broken down? Is that possible?
Looking at the team having a sidebar.
Yeah, I just wanted to check in with technology and just make sure that Schoolytics is a new system that we're using, that we are actually able to pull those reports. We can get it, it might just be tedious work, but I think from here on out, if we don't already have them tracking it in that way in Schoolytics, we'll then start to spear that system.
So reason codes is what you're
Yes,
saying.
yeah,
If we
yeah.
can,
And then it might be like that where I'm gonna check into that and just make sure
we'll
that.
follow up and see what's possible.
Because I think with the more than 15 days, even though we're in February, there's no going back from that. You can't, like, it's only going to get worse or stay the same. So right now we want it to stay the same because it can't go backwards. But for next year, if we can have that reason code or whatever, so then when we start seeing the people in red, the kids in red, we have their reason, we can hone in on that specific reason for that group of kids. Just a thought.
And to that point, do we distinguish between like excused absences versus unexcused? I know they're probably all absences, but.
And chronic absenteeism, it is any absent, excused or unexcused, yeah.
I did have one more question, sorry. So for high school, if you go to first hour and you skip second hour and you go to third hour, is that considered a chronic absent? I mean, is that considered an absenteeism?
Period absences are calculated by the periods in that school. So if it's a 7-day, once you rack up 7 periods of miss, then you've got an absence. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody's like,
I just want to
And
make
I
sure.
guess I will say, while we're certainly not there with attendance, I appreciate that Battle Creek Public Schools is looking at attendance that granular, because there are many schools that will say, once you hit 4 periods out of 7, it's a day's absence. So we really are looking at it period by period.
so I love the fact that the support we're getting right now is to truly look at days and hours and whether or not there are opportunities to flex days and hours within the law to see if we might be able to do something innovative and creative to address this need. So we'll pull together what we call an ad hoc committee to investigate through the attendance team and then report back to the board in May. That'll give them some time to do some research. Does that sound fair?
It does. Yep, I got you.
I'm curious, when we do that study, I'm curious how many of the students that will impact.
Yes.
I still think we're still gonna face some adaptive challenges, and I completely agree with you, Dr. Perry, about what's in our control. And I think if we're thinking about being transformative and innovative, and if this study reveals that it might get you, move you up 1 point, we might have to think about, like, why don't we identify what we need and call on community. And I know we don't have no resources, but again, being creative, like, we think of how we get innovative in calling community partners to do something more at the grassroots level around changing the culture on families and parenting. And it's something I've been passionate about for a long time, and there is an issue. So I think we may need to really think about, like, how do we really get transformative in this space, and call on the community to say, hey, we need folks with influence to really impact the importance of education. Like, and we're not the only people with this issue. So one of my other questions was, have we looked at other programs that may have worked somewhere else, even if it was wild and it was like, whoa, but at least we know that there's something that worked that we can maybe borrow from.
You want to talk about?
Yeah, so almost every time we sit down, so we look at, Dr. Carter always says you need to look at some research-based practices, or you need to look at some schools who are doing something well. So most recently, Detroit did something, and so what I do is bring it back here, try to calculate what that means for our school district. Does it work or does it not work? So each time we're trying to find something innovative. Do we give away a PlayStation and a Pistons game like we did last year? So that we're always trying to figure out something innovative, and how does it look to bring that back from those other districts and make it work here. So it just takes a little bit of time to figure out the budget, the people, if it works for our market of kids and our community. So absolutely, though.
Yes. And maybe it's something that because I know, like, Detroit, I believe it was, they do a big concert, right? And it makes the kids all work together. Yeah. We're going to bring so-and-so here.
Lamar, we got it.
Yeah.
That's what we got.
But we may be able to find a grant for something like that, at least if it's a pilot. Right. And if we can demonstrate, or maybe it's something we do in collaboration with other communities, I don't know. But if we can demonstrate that it has incredible success, that it's worth us looking at.
Did we, did we see how much things like the Pistons game and the PlayStation impacted it before? Did it work?
Yeah. So, I mean, to Dr. Cheek's point, I so love my team because they do look at what they'll say, okay, this is happening in such and such, let's try it, right? But context matters. And so what works in Los Angeles may not work here in Battle Creek, but we're always testing it. Like, they took that huge group to the Pistons, but the return on that investment didn't show outcomes. So that was a try. We have talked about, Detroit is paying kids right now. So we calculated that, and just for the 9th grade, to be fully transparent, it would be like $300,000. That's not funding that we have access to, and we really haven't shown, we are still waiting to see if it has a huge return on that investment, right? If we do that 300, I actually said to Dr. Cheeks this morning, we were talking about it, 300,000, we could just bring in one-to-one mentors for kids. I mean, so what's the opportunity cost, and really thinking we got to be strategic but smart at the same time. So, yes. But I do really, really believe that part of the advocacy effort is to make this known in the community, that this isn't just a Battle Creek Public Schools problem, because it is national, but then asking and inviting community members to be part of the solution. What might they help us do? Because we're open, we're willing. There are several committees that we're inviting people to be a part of. And people are willing to do this work. We just haven't found the right recipe. So we'll keep trying. Any ads? Any other discussions?
Anything else?
I think it was just what happens next. We just talked about that. And then our shared commitment. Every day a student misses school is a missed opportunity for learning and growth. Improving attendance is not just an operational goal, but a shared responsibility that aligns with our mission to support all students. We believe that together we can remove barriers, support families, and create a culture of belonging and engagement, and that's the work.
One more question.
Yes.
I know I've talked to Dr. Cheeks and others about this, but is the parent summit in the works?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And so it's actually now being geared by the parents. So Mariama, they have taken complete lead. So they want to set it up more like, not where it's summit conference style, but they want to do big sessions on each of the topics instead of one day where you do it summit style. But the parents are planning that, and they should be launching their first, I don't even know what to call it anymore because it's not summit style, but the parents have taken that on, the PAC, the Parent Action Committee for the district level. Those parents have taken that on, so they're planning that, and they are planning the events surrounding parent engagement now.
My hope is that, again, it is culturally transformative.
Yes.
You got to make sure that you got the right people with the right type of influence for the type of students we're trying to reach, for the families we're trying to reach.
Well, to that point, and I know our discussion, I'm watching the clock, but to that point, it's like really making sure that when we do the summits and the events, we normally get the same families. So, right? And it's always the people who are coming to school.
Yes.
So I'm also interested in really thinking about how we get to the 1,000. Because I'll tell you that the ones that are coming to the events are in the tier 2, like in the tier 1. So that's something we also would invite partnership around. We do home visits. But the change to your point about transforming the community culture, I believe, and after I've been really thinking about Attendance Works and their work, it's grassroots, to your point. Churches, neighborhood planning councils, people outside of the school who are saying, did you go to school today? Where were you? How can I help you? It has to be a movement. It has to be a movement. So as we kind of walk away from this, let's think about how we might create that movement outside of the structure of school.
I have a general question. What's the absenteeism like with WK?
It's the highest in the district.
It is?
Yes.
Okay.
Highest in the district.
Okay. My thinking was, I know they have a lot more flexibility, and it's still not doing it. So it's not the flexibility piece, it sounds like.
That's not the model.
Sorry?
That's not the model that we would want to.
Right. No, but
So, yeah.
I was just trying to expanding on what Trustee Perry said about having more flexibility, but it sounds like that's tough.
And the reason, just to give context around that, is we found that struggling students need more face-to-face. And so when you do the virtual, it really is more of escape.
Sure.
And they're not as engaged. And so that was the impetus for creating WK Prep, was past virtual academies do not fare well for struggling students.
Right. I mean, so flexibility is more than just virtual. I agree that it's no problem, but you get me thinking when you said like we could hire tutors, like maybe there's something more to that though. Having opportunities to have these kids having their classes at different times, it's work for them. Like if they have to drop off a little brother or be a sick parent, yada yada yada. Well, how can they make that up?
Yes.
You said we already had the FTs, we can't take them back. Is there a way to take them back? Is there a way to make anything? I don't know how it all works. Is there a way to make things up? I don't know. Like
It's a way to stop it. That's what our focus is, to stop right now. I wouldn't mind if somebody's already chronically absent, but they stopped being chronically absent. That's our goal right now. You could have hit that, but what we're trying to do is find the thing that's going to get you in school more consistently and regularly for the rest of the year. So.
I hear that. So there's not like such thing as making up.
Well, if you can make up credits, right? So we have summer school. So our high schoolers that, if we get them back on track, we can get them into, to your point, the flexible programs around credit recovery. But again, those are difficult when you've missed so much school. So I think to the point about culture is really, as I'm talking to a few parents that I can get to, helping people understand that you really can't make up the instruction that you lose. Because we're not worksheets and, you know, take home a textbook. That's not the way teaching occurs anymore. So you need to be in the seat to get the learning in order to catch up. You would agree with that as an educator. So yes, that's what makes it hard.
I think to both of their points though, maybe structuring our day like a college. Like you've got class on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 12:30, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You've got 8 to 10, you know, whatever it is, so that our kids can actually get here because we've got to do something different. And I think COVID has taught us that we do have to be flexible, and that students feel like education is optional, and it's not. And we need to change the narrative.
I have an assumption, and y'all can fix it if it's wrong, but if suspensions are also contributing to absenteeism, have we considered having like an off-site suspension place? So you get suspended for whatever days, but you don't do it out of school. You have a whatever space that is staffed, and they're not losing that instruction necessarily, but then they're also removed from where the behavior occurred and they're removed from that environment, at least temporarily. So are suspensions something that we have that contributes to absenteeism?
At the secondary level, yes. But not as, so honestly, I went in also believing that suspensions were going to be the one that did it. They do contribute to it, so I will not say they don't, but they are not the greatest percentage of it. And so what we like to do, though, is make sure that we've employed enough alternatives and enough interventions so that we don't even get students being excluded out of the environment at all. But at this point, we do not have a hub, per se, that students who are suspended from school then get to go to another space. But the ideal is that we utilize student success centers, the schools that have in-school suspension rooms, alternatives to suspension right there in the school, that we don't have to do exclusionary practices at all because those behaviors are taken care of within that school building. So we're still working through those systems of supports.
Okay. Something like if somebody had a fight, they're still going to the same place. So that's what I was thinking of,
right.
Having a place away, but they fought somebody, they might both be going to that new
Be
place.
going to-
So
It would
I
be
get
structured
that.
differently, so I see where you're going, but unfortunately, we don't have that at our disposal right now.
Mm-hmm. And then another question was related. I thought about how you were saying there was a survey they went out, and I think we heard the results of the survey at Valley View.
Mm-hmm.
Have we done have we considered a full school survey, district survey, where we get and it might have to be done by a third party that can just slice and dice the data how we need it, but some sort of survey that will help understand like what is driving, because this will be parents filling this out, what is driving the lack of attendance, getting your kids to school or whatever. Have we considered that?
So we have done them by buildings, and we did them on a large scale through attendance work, and that works, and they actually did disaggregate the data for us. But that is something that we probably could try again, because that did help us find some root cause to what the data was that we are seeing. So that is definitely something that we'll explore, and I'll make sure to put that down.
We will actually explore it February 17th through the 28th. Our district is participating in the My Student Voice survey, which is it is a third party. Kent ISD created it. Dr. Carter got it recommended from other superintendents, and so the purpose of that is to assess climate culture, especially in grades 5-12.
So does that go to parents or students? I'm more so pushing on a parent survey, because usually it's the parent that, well, I'd say always it's the parent has to get the kid to school.
Can you get one of those out?
Yeah, but yeah, that's good to know about the My Student Voice one. I'm just curious about, what the point you're pushing on is you're trying to motivate parents to get why it's important or whatever, find out why parents aren't getting kids to school. So instead of doing it by building, just the whole district approach to what we want to do is what I'm
Sir, and I know you guys want to, but this is really important, this topic. I'm wondering if we have, because there is also, you guys talked about this, a very real challenge with work schedules. And have we considered working with like BCU or in the business community widely to say, what incentives can we, is there a win-win, right, where you could incentivize employees who or something, right? Like, can we strategize with the business community around, because the schedules sometimes are very complicated and unreasonable for families to do drop-offs and pickups, and they're working 12 days, 7 days a week. So I'm wondering if we've tried to tackle it that way too.
I think we'll try again.
Okay.
We have kind of, through Bearcat Health, tried to make sure we have people connecting to the businesses. I think we will try again, absolutely. And it really is a cultural shift that has to happen. So when we do put in place those types of supports, I still got to get the parent to understand that I need you to take advantage of the supports, right?
But if their employer says, hey, if you bring in this something from the school that says your kids have blah, 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 we'll give you an additional, right?
I think you need data though, if you're gonna try and have an employer do anything like that. And that's what I'm hitting at with the survey. We can ask like, who are you employed by, what's your shift? But to just go to a place with somebody's job with no, like, if you got 2 people to work there and I already give you a flex schedule, they're gonna be like, okay, that's nice, I'm not doing that. Because they're about getting profit too. So I think that survey should be hitting on that so we can understand what problem we're really trying to solve. Like if it is something like that where you're having issue with drop-off times or whatever, then let's talk about that or analyze that and we figure that out. But right now it just feels like we're shooting in the dark with assumptions that we really need to just get solid information on. And then the big thing with a survey, we need a good percentage to complete it.
The return rate.
Yeah, so how do you even incentivize people to take it so that we can get good information? Because if you're only getting 15% and it's ones that are always there, then okay, great. That's not very helpful. But if we're getting a good percentage, because there's some incentive to it or whatever, I don't know, kids love pizza parties or whatever. Something that
We got to think about the incentive, because if I'm not mistaken, the last survey was only about 100, and you saw that the number is 1,000. So we got like a 10% return rate on the last couple surveys we've done. So
that's not giving you anything.
Exactly. And it's probably the ones who are working their way, right? So we'll have to really think through how we might. We'll take this under advisement and really try to think about what's next.
So, I mean, instead of doing the survey, maybe we're going door to door, like census, like enumerating and asking, hey, your kid missed 18 days, can you tell us why? And then we just put the reason down and then we go to the next one, because having them do the survey is a barrier. And I think us being in the community is going to be helpful, so I think that's the approach.
We do community walks each year and really do it in the summertime. I think we just need a bigger army to be able to get, but we do ask those questions. We have a 5 why protocol that we go through. We do empathy interviewing from door to door to understand what the barriers are, and then that really informs our decisions for how we act in the next school year. So summer is the biggest time that we do that, but we're absolutely open to continuing that throughout the school year.
Yeah, and I just stress that we will want to ask all parents. We're not just focused on the areas that were in the red or the orange, like everybody.
Full district survey.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Got all that? We get to watch a recording. I appreciate it. Thank you, President Fulbright.
Thank you all. Great conversation. Moving on to reports and recommendations. MACUL Conference. Ms. Fowler.
Good evening. All right. Would you please note, Kawita, that I was not introduced as wonderful and magnificent? See how it is, Dr. Cheeks? Good evening. I come before you this evening for your consideration for the participation in the McCall Conference. That's Michigan Association of Computer Users and Learning. It is one of the largest ed tech conferences in the Midwest, usually more than 4,000 attendees. This year we happen to be attending the conference in Detroit. We are asking for funding for 3 administrators as well as 14 technology innovation coaches. And I want to just highlight some of the work that these folks do. Outside of, we've had 2 of them who've already been named the Making It Happen award winners, so we're proud of that. Our recent data as of a couple weeks ago, these folks have led more than 110 peer-to-peer training sessions. And so we've got a body of research that shows that when you learn from a peer, you are more comfortable, you're more open to what they're saying. So we've got a lot of good data that shows the folks who learn what they learn there are taking it back and spreading the word with their peers. The amount is for, let me add one more thing, I apologize. We do have an orientation. So before we go to McCall, we have an orientation with the team. We have structured note-taking that takes place, and then we do have a structured debrief that happens when we come back. So it is structured and intentional. Let me see, check that. With that, happy to entertain any questions. The request is for $20,000. It's a mix of Title II funds and general funds, the majority of which coming from Title II.
Any question?
Are innovation coaches like teachers or?
They are. So it's a stipend position. This is also part of the compensation for that position.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Zeph, your mom told me to take pictures of you when you're up here, so if I'm taking pictures of you, that's why.
Moving on to B, Eureka Fest, June 2025.
All right.
Perry.
Sat through this whole thing.
Community Board of Education, I am here to request your consideration for sending fine Battle Creek Area Math and Science Center students to MIT this summer to compete in a contest called Invent Teams. But instead of me trying to explain it to you because it's a cool project, I'm going to have their teacher, who is a Whatever It Takes winner, Amanda Dalloway, and our 2 Battle Creek Central students, Grace Hemble and Miles Rinke. I'm going to let you all do the talking now.
Yeah, sure.
So what is it you're going to and why?
So we partnered with Lemelson MIT through the Massachusetts Institution of Technology to get a grant so we could develop an invention idea. And that is effectively using a process called Raman spectroscopy to analyze samples of liquids that are tainted by, we're looking at benzodiazepines to prevent against spiking of drinks in unsafe environments for young people, especially young women, especially as a lot of our seniors transfer into college where parties are a risk and stuff. And then also where students that are part of the Invent team have sisters and brothers and siblings that are moving on towards college that they are necessarily worried for in being in a little bit more in being more risk-filled situations.
Yeah, so it's a fairly big deal. How many schools are a part of it? There's 8 schools in the country. In the country that got chosen for this. And we have 25 members. We have an engineering team and a community engagement team. So we have the engineering team, me and Miles are on the engineering team, so I don't have a lot to say about community engagement, but I've done some of it. Our community engagement team does a lot of community outreach to different local businesses here in Battle Creek or to larger companies in Battle Creek to get funding for this, because we do have to fund for 30 people, 25 students, and 5 chaperones to MIT, and for the duration of the stay and everything. So
all of the fundraising is being done by students and then also by the grant that was provided by the university. The rest, and so the only thing we ask of the board is permission to take a flight as a group of 30 people out of state to Boston, where we'd be presenting between the dates of June 9th and 11th.
So I just want to repeat that there is no fund request for the board. This is a request for the ability to take the trip. We have sent groups of students to this competition before, and from those groups, 5 of them, and we're enrolled at MIT,
2 years later. So we know also that from the last visit, MIT came and spoke to our students in Battle Creek very specifically about what it takes to get into their school and how to do it. And just so you're aware, when MIT comes to Michigan or any state, they have quartered off their states into larger chunks. And so when they came and visited our 20 kids who talked to them last time, they also went and spoke to 2,500 students in Kalamazoo, which is why our students ended up at MIT. Grace and Miles are like exemplary students in Battle Creek. They lead the charge for a lot of stuff. And with a coach like Mrs. Dalloway and Mr. Hansen, who you will eventually get to know very well, the leadership is just phenomenal. They have been working Saturdays for how many months now?
The whole school year.
Until
No.
since
They
since
started
August.
in the summer.
Yeah.
They've been going since summer.
Yeah. So just the enrollment, the dedication, everything is so powerful. And I'm sure that they'd be happy to have you visit on a weekend to see what they're
Oh yeah,
doing, too.
certainly.
Yeah, every Saturday, 9 to 12.
Yep.
There's donuts.
The trip is to Boston.
Yes.
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 Do you need any chaperones?
We have,
Five.
we'll have 3 parent chaperones, I
No.
believe. No?
No, we only have 1 parent chaperone. The rest are staff members
Okay.
that are going.
Just in case.
Okay, we'll remember. But the thing doesn't end at Eureka Fest. These guys
Yeah.
are not wanting to stop there, but it will be the springboard to what they want to continue
Yeah.
with. So I hear you guys are talking about absenteeism and stuff. They are very dedicated to what they're doing, and so this is one thing that is tying them to their school and to their community. And it's not just our seniors. It's not just our juniors. We have freshmen and sophomores on too. So it's something that we're trying to share with all our students.
I can expand on that a little bit too. So one of our leading members, Brady, is he's part of the team that's focused on longevity of the project, and his hope is that by the time he graduates in 2 years, we have a product that's cheaper than the competition and ready to go to market, so we can actually make a difference with the technology that we're using, and it's not just a paper that we write to present to a university. It has an actual impact on the ground, on the people that we're hoping to protect.
I was about to ask, what's bigger than MIT and
Shark Tank.
business?
Shark Tank.
Are you all done securing funding, or are you still funding?
We are not done securing funding. We were given a, if you would like to help us figure out what community members are willing to work with us, we were given a $4,000 grant, and we've been trying to match grant. We've been working with people. We just reached out to Jose to ask us to help put out our mid-grant review. You are all more than welcome to come on February 26th to our mid-grant review over at the Math and Science Center. It's open to all community members. And they'll be presenting the information they have. They will not be giving you their solution because they are trying for a patent also, but they will present their project. They'll present their longevity. You'll be able to ask them about their finances and everything else. And they'll be practicing before then, so everybody will be able to present well.
Is there somebody specifically, though, that I can connect with?
Mrs. Dalloway would
Ms.
be
Dalloway would be wonderful, or Mr. Hansen. We do have everything has to be done through students, but we will get that right to the right student. Our student name is Daniel Perez, is the person that's overseeing our finances. Part of the grant is we are not in charge of anything. This is my job every day, is to stand here and then ask them questions, and they're supposed to come up with the solutions.
High school engineers. Imagine those meetings every Saturday.
So that means you're at the Math and Science Center?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So we're both central students, but we have, our team represents, it's 25 students, we represent 9 school districts around the Calhoun County area. But most of us are from Central and Lakeview, primarily.
That's not true.
No.
Harper.
Oh, and Marshall. Marshall is the other one. Yeah.
It's Concha.
She's gonna name all
It was just Anita.
No, Anita was Marshall.
It's an amazing opportunity to showcase Calhoun County student talent.
Yes.
That's really nice.
Thank
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Signing up.
Okay, moving on to C, employee handbook. Dr. Henry.
the amazing superstar. Oh.
I gotta find the HR.
Good evening, board. At this time, we are requesting your consideration regarding the new Battle Creek Public Schools Employee Handbook. District staff met and collaborated with BCA representatives along with the collective bargaining unit from the secretaries and the paraprofessionals in the creation of the new Battle Creek Public School Handbook. And our process included, we reviewed handbooks from other districts. We reviewed the Troon Model Employee Handbook. Troon provided a model handbook. And so we developed a task force and we broke into groups and we went through all of those handbooks in the effort to develop the handbook that's before you. And so our BCPS Handbook Task Force, we worked together to create that document that's before you. Any questions? Thank you for your time.
Just one simple question. The what made me wonder is Dudley's name gonna change?
Yes.
Okay. So so Northwestern will still assist Northwestern Junior. So all of that'll be updated with the new names of the buildings.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Okay, moving on to D, Black Boys Symposium. Dr. Cheeks. The marvelous.
You started something.
Yes, you did.
I think a pretty great man.
I am bringing forth to you today for Dr. Anita Harvey, the Black Boys and Men's Symposium and the implementation team. So this is the 4th annual Black Men's and Boys Symposium that is hosted by Grand Valley State University. It's a transformative event focused on addressing systemic barriers and fostering a success for Black boys and men. The symposium focuses on creating change agents within the school district, identifying systemic barriers, acknowledging historical realities, bringing together national partners, and deconstructing and rebuilding systems. What's important about the symposium this year and how we're going to take what we learned from the symposium is that Dr. Harvey is establishing an implementation team. So not are you only going to be attending the symposium, you are going to be a part of a year-long implementation team and probably beyond a year, where you come back and you actually go through what you've learned there and implement that within the school district. So the folks who are going to also be committed to being a part of this implementation team. So I'm pretty excited about what that looks like rolling out forward. But back to her business. The amount that she is asking for is up to $45,000, and so we're just asking for the review of the board for attendance at the Black Boys and Men Symposium and establishing the implementation team.
So I have a question, but you probably, because it's not yours, you're subbing in for Dr. Harvey. Do you know, because this is the 4th year, so we'll just say last year, the people that attended, do they not get to attend the next year and it's all new people, or is it half and half, or is it all the same people from last year? How does that get?
Actually, what everybody had to do this year was apply. So we were sent a link where we pretty much submitted an application for if you wanted to go, if you went in the past, what did you gain from it? What did you bring back from the symposium? If you hadn't been, what's your thought process of what you're going to gain and what you're going to bring back? So it could be some of the same people, could be all new people. It's based on really what their answers say. If you met the interview goal, then you get to go. So it could be new, could be old, could be a mix of folks who are going.
Was the application process new this year?
It was.
Love
yes, it was.
I
I did
love
mine
the
day one. I
implementation
filled
team.
mine out day one.
But it's a really good way to ensure that we're taking the learning and we're being action.
Absolutely. Yeah. Agreed.
Excited about it.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Any public comment? Okay, moving on to new business. Resolution to call election, strategic goal. Oh, resolution to call election. Dr. Carter.
Yes, in your packet, you have the resolution to call the election. And so, I think I have to read it. I don't have to read it. Who's the secretary?
All right. We'll get some water. Are we gonna just read it?
Yep.
First I'm doing this. All right.
The whereas.
Right, the whereas. Okay. Whereas, in the opinion of this board, it is necessary and expedient to ask voters whether to approve a bond project consisting of remodeling, including security improvements to furnishings and refurnishings, and equipping and re-equipping school buildings and facilities, and equipping, developing, and improving playgrounds, athletic facilities, and sites. 2. The board estimates the necessary cost of this project to be $27,825,375. 3. It will be necessary for the district to borrow the sum $27,500,000 and issue the bonds of the district. Therefore, the remaining funds to be derived from the investment of the bond proceeds. 4. This board intends to submit a proposition at a special election to be held on Tuesday, May 6, 2025. 5. On or before 4 p.m. on Tuesday, February 11, 2025, the board shall certify any ballot proposition to be submitted to the voters at such election to the election coordinator or coordinators designated to conduct elections within the district, the election coordinator. Now therefore be it resolved that 1. A special election of the school electors of the district be called and held on Tuesday, May 6th, 2025. 2. The proposition to be voted on at the special election shall be stated on the ballots in substantially the form as set forth in Exhibit A. 3. The election coordinator is requested to 3A. Utilize the Battle Creek Shopper, a newspaper published or of general circulation within the district, for publication of notices in accordance with the election law requirements. 3B. Utilize ballot proposition summary information as prepared by legal counsel in the forms of the notices of last day of registration and election in substantially the form as set forth in Exhibit B attached here too. C. Provide a proof copy of the ballot to the district and its legal counsel in sufficient time to allow the ballot to be proofread prior to printing. 4. The board estimates the period of usefulness of the improvements for which boards of the district in the amount of $27,500,000 are to be issued to be not less than 25 years. 5. The secretary of this board is hereby authorized to and directed to file a copy of this resolution with the election coordinator and with any election clerk or clerks designated to conduct elections within the district by 4 p.m. on Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. 6. All resolutions and parts of resolutions insofar as they conflict with the provisions of this resolution are hereby rescinded.
Okay, up for discussion. Or no, I need a motion. I'll entertain a motion.
President,
Yes, Vice President Perry?
I move that this board adopts a resolution to call the election as just read by our secretary. Support.
It's been moved by Vice President Perry, supported by Dr. Johnson. Any discussion? The only thing I have to say is I'm so glad you got to read that and not me. Props to you. Seeing none, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Ryan Hoagland Jackson, Jamisha Nordman,
Yes.
Art McQueenie, Dr. Alicia Johnson,
Yes.
Nathan Graycheck,
Yes.
Dr. McCall-Perry?
Yes.
Kelly Fulbright?
Yes. It's been moved and passed. Thank you all so much. Moving on to superintendent comments.
Bearcat Love Week is coming. So if you haven't already marked your calendars, please do so, because from February 17th through the 21st, we will have themed days ranging from Monday's food drive supporting neighbors in need to Friday's pep rally, where we will come together to cheer on our Bearcats before the game against Lakeview.
Why are you looking at me?
We're honored, and so I also want to just say, as a part of that, that this has been designed by the parent committee, and so that I really love about this. We're also honored to welcome Reverend Dr. Derek Barber King, Sr., who is the nephew of Dr. Martin Luther King, for an inspiring dialogue on advancing, I don't know how you did that.
It's dry in here.
I'm sorry. For inspiring dialogue on advancing equity through nonviolent action, rooted in his family's legacy of faith-driven activism. We invite our community to join us and reflect on carrying his principles forward. That's going to be on Friday, February 21st at 8:30 in the W.K. Kellogg Auditorium. Count day is Wednesday. So we just had that conversation.
Say it again. Say it again.
Count day is Wednesday. So please, students, families, and staff, thank you for prioritizing attendance on that day. And then Battle Creek Central will host its next caregiver, student, teacher conferences on Tuesday, February 25th from 3 to 7. Wednesday, February 26th, thank you, from 2 to 4. Please join us for those critical conversations. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's why he's magnanimous. All the things.
Board member comments.
I just want to say how pleased I was to see Miles Rinke up here headed to MIT. I taught him for 3 years at STEM. It just made my heart so over with. Just oh my God, I'm just overjoyed. So yes.
Anyone else? So I do have 4 facts that I want to share real quick. One, and these may sound random, I'm allergic to nuts, tree nuts and peanuts. 2, I love sporks. 3, all of our BCPS teachers are beautiful. And 4, great things are happening in Battle Creek Public Schools.
All right.
Meeting adjourned. Sporks.
Like